Hey, if you've been stuck in a pattern of people pleasing, of saying yes when you really want to say no without feeling guilty, and better yet, without feeling like a bitch, then this video is for you, because I'm going to fortify you with the exact scripts that I use to help me climb out of people pleasing and start respecting myself enough to say, hey, me too, thank you very much. So stick around. I'm going to share these exact scripts and more for dealing with this sabotaging habit, and it'll be worth it because you're worth it. So if you're ready, let's go. So if you're still here and you're curious, then you are my girl, the heart-centered good girl who needs to be in on this conversation about what's really going on underneath the surface when it comes to people pleasing and all the peripheral emotions like guilt. And I'm not going to fluff around here because this habit is costing you. It's costing you dearly, and there's really no time to waste on staying stuck. But just like the remedy that I'm going to share with you in this video, you can be direct with people, respecting your own needs, and just not come across as selfish, rude, and worse, a bitch. This is where we have to make these shifts. But let's now get under the surface and talk about people pleasing. What's really going on here? Before I delve into some of these reasons, let's adopt this attitude of self-compassion. Because this playbook that you've been living with for all these years, this rule book about the identity you have to wear in order to be accepted in society, in your relationships, to be liked and valued, all comes from a place that is maybe not something we always want to visit because it brings up some really heavy feelings. But let's get down to it and talk about some of the ways that we have learned this rule book. Number one, it's from conditioning and programming and the rules that we've been taught, which could go all the way back to childhood. We have been taught that our worth is tied to being agreeable. So we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to cause conflict. We want to be accepted. We want to belong. So there were a lot of good girl rules that we learned when we were younger. Things like being a lady means fill in the blank. You don't voice your opinions, you don't talk too loud, you acquiesce, you're a team player, you're compliant, and that's just good. That's just a good girl. And the same thing with being nice. We're taught to be nice, and what does being nice means? I mean, I want you to think about this as I'm going along, and maybe you could put your own comments down there, things that come to mind when you think about what was I taught about what being a lady was like, or being nice, or being good. And that can come from a variety of places. It could be from your upbringing, it could be from church, it could be from school, it could be from an authority figure, but understanding the conditioning that got you here. And a lot of this comes down to one overarching rationale for people pleasing, and that is that we care so much about what other people think that we're okay with abandoning our own needs. That's where the compassion comes in. Another reason is that we've adopted people pleasing as a survival tactic out of fear. And that fear could be very legitimate. Maybe you came from an abusive upbringing. Maybe there was somebody that you were afraid of, that if you didn't comply and say yes, that you were in literal fear for your life. And I'm hoping that you have been able to talk with a professional about this, because that fear will carry with you until you peel away the layers and find out where that came from and heal that. So if you haven't done that yet, I highly encourage you to get in and talk to a therapist about it. So people pleasing can come from fear, which could be a fear for our life. It could be fear of rejection. And I know that I had experiences when I was younger where I had a brother, and I talk about this a lot. He's since passed away, but he was special needs and he really stood out in a crowd. So whenever we would go out as a family, people would always be staring at us. I felt very uncomfortable, and I really shrunk back for a long time. And to be able to fit into society, I became a people pleaser. So I know that was one fallout from this experience when I was growing up. Legit or not, I've grown beyond that, but for what it's worth, yeah, it's a big deal when we fear being rejected. And then there's that image that we want to present, whatever that is. And if we say no, that means that we're selfish, or we're rude, or we're cold, or we don't care about other people. And so we take on people pleasing. We also may not just have a good sense of self-worth. And we've been taught that our worth is tied to being agreeable. So we're not worthy, other people are more important. And so ultimately, we just don't even have respect for our own needs. We may actually don't even know what our needs are. So I want you to stay there for a hot minute, because that's pretty heavy stuff. And if any of this is resonating, then put your comments down there and share. But it's real. And there's a price to pay for all of this. And that's what we want to get to, is how all this head nodding is showing up in life and in business. I mean, think about it. What emotions does this drudge up when you think about standing up for yourself and saying no? It might make you feel pretty uncomfortable. You might be at a stage though where you're like, hey, I am so ready. Tell me how, because I need to do this. I'm so tired of just nodding my head all the time. But here's what I have seen in my own upbringing, my own history, and also with my peers and with my clients. This is the cost of people pleasing. One, we're exhausted. We are depleted from compromising our own needs and showing up for other people every time they need us. Two, our emotions are kind of like this rubber band that go from resignation and just saying, okay, fine, just go ahead, whatever you want, I'll do it, to explosive anger and passive aggressive behavior where we start getting very resentful of this cycle. And then there's everything in between, where we're just like, okay, that's fine, I'll do it, no big deal, just take a minute. And we're living with guilt for not getting our shit together, right? Maybe you recognize this is going on, but you don't know how to climb your way out. And you just keep doing it and you're like, shit, I know I don't want to do this anymore, but help me, please. And then there's the shame, because we haven't been giving ourselves the love and the self-respect that we not only deserve, but we need. And it's disrupting our inner peace. It might be affecting our health. And then we just have lost our voice. We've surrendered. And people don't even know exactly who we are because we don't even speak our needs to anybody anymore. So now, how can we climb out of people pleasing and start standing up for ourselves? Well, it starts with a commitment to you. You have to believe that this behavior no longer is serving you, my friend. And it's stealing from you, and it's actually harming the people around you. If you don't see this, then it's likely that you're going to have a hard time ever changing this behavior. And now we want to shift this perspective. We've got an old story, and we need to replace it with a new story. Saying no is rude. Hey, it's responsible. It's adulting. That's what we do. We say no. Focusing on my needs is selfish. Hey, it's self-care. You can't give from an empty cup. So I've got to take care of my own needs, and no one knows them better than me. I am in charge of me, no one else. So if I'm not taking care of my needs, nobody else is really going to do it for you. Saying yes anytime somebody needs me is rude, or doesn't mean I'm a good person. Not when it sacrifices your own needs. In that case, it really is showing a lack of self-respect. And after we make the shift and we start believing this new story, we start putting boundaries into place. You can start putting boundaries in at any place, but boundaries are not going to stick until you're really convicted of the need for them. Boundaries are your power move to reclaim your agency, and boundaries build trust with yourself and respect from others. You have to believe that no is a filter and not a failure to show up. And you have to believe that you're not rejecting others, you're actually respecting them. I came up with a definition for boundaries that really was a game changer for me, and this is what I teach. Boundaries are an act of love, not just for you, but for other people. So think on that for a hot minute. Setting a boundary is an act of love for myself. It's an act of love for me in community because I am training other people how to treat me. I am letting them know what my limits are. And that helps them to know how to treat me. And it actually sets an example for them. Think about how much you can empower others, other people pleasers, when you empower yourself with boundaries. All right, here's why I want to give you my 3-step script for setting boundaries that you can do like right now. Toot sweet. Number 1, start with a direct statement. No, of course, is a complete sentence, but oftentimes when people pleasers are starting to move into that realm of boundaries, they need to add on a little bit something else so that it feels a little bit more kind and palatable. As you get familiar with this, then it's probably going to get more comfortable to just say no, no thank you. But a direct statement is a statement without a question at the end. Check in the video description and in the comments. I have a link to a freebie for you, which allows you to say no with confidence, and it's 15 scripts that you can use. Pick whichever one feels comfortable. The context in which you use them might all be different. Maybe there's a different way you say no in the workplace to somebody you don't know real well, to your boss versus somebody who is in your intimate circle. Give you plenty to choose from. Okay, step number 2 is if you want to add that additional context onto it, hey, you can say that if no is just not enough. You might say, I'm at capacity right now, or I'd like to revisit that at a later date. There are so many other ways that you can add some context if that feels more comfortable for you. And the last tip that I would give you is to just end that with either silence or redirection. Now, I know it's going to feel uncomfortable when you first start saying no, so you're going to want to, it's going to feel really weighty and really heavy. But what I want you to do is to keep it light. And after that, just move on and just go, okay, well, if that's it, I've got to go right now. Thank you. Thank you so much for the offer. I've got to run. I've got another call. Or is there anything else we have to talk about now? And so you redirect the conversation after you're done. Because if you are feeling that uncomfortable with it, the other person is going to feel that weight. And they're going to sense a kind of a lack of confidence in that statement that you just made. And it sets you up for them to come in and try to undermine it. See? So that's the reason why you want to just end it with silence or redirection. So my guess is that you can look at examples that have happened in the past where you haven't set a boundary, and you can revisit that story and go, okay, what would I do if I could relive that over again? And just start getting it into your head. Just start visualizing what you're going to do in the next situation. And give yourself compassion if you fall back and you have trouble getting on board. It's going to be like riding a bike. Once you get on there and you start learning how, it's going to start coming naturally. So as we wrap up, let's take a look at what we covered today about people pleasing. We talked about the origins of people pleasing, and that can be some homework for you where you step back and look at, where did this come from? Where did I start doing this, and who taught me that? And then start challenging that story, statement by statement, belief by belief, and reframe that to come up with a new story. Then look at the boundaries, your power moves, your ultimate power moves to reclaim your own personal agency, and what those need to look like so that you can protect the things that are valuable to you, your energy, your time, your health, your wealth, your relationships, everything. And continue to remind yourself that this is important. Your needs, your valuables are just as important as someone else's. And only you can take charge of those things that are important. You are in charge of those. And then we are going to use those 3 steps where we're going to make a direct statement and link below to 15 possibilities that you can use as you're crafting these new responses. We're going to make it easy. Just follow the script. Couldn't be easier. And then remember to, when you start practicing, is you just end it. Say what you have to say and just end it. Keep it light, move on, redirect. Because the more insecure that you sound when you say no, the more you will undermine yourself as people see that and they feel a vibe and they're going to start taking advantage of it and trying to undermine it. Remember, the moral of the story is this. This effort is all worth it because you're worth it. You have value. What you want in life, what you need in life is important. And if you don't believe it now, I believe it for you. So I'm going to believe it for you until you believe it yourself. If you have any other comments, leave them below. Until then, say no without guilt and without sounding like a bitch. See you next time.